Hello all. So today in this video we're going to discuss about the lymphatic drainage of breast. Okay, so why this lymphatic drainage of breast is so important? Because the knowledge of this lymphatic drainage of breast is very important for surgeon, because the carcinoma of breast spread mostly through this lymphatic channel. Okay, so for better understanding of this lymphatic drainage, first we need to know about the lymph nodes which drains the breast. So what are the lymph node which drains the breast? The lymph node, these lymph nodes are, first is axillary group of lymph node, axillary group. Then we have a internal mammillary group of lymph node, internal mammillary nodes, and suprascapular group of lymph node, scapular node. Then we have a posterior intercostal group of lymph node, posterior intercostal group of nodes. And fifth, we have a cephalic or cephalic is also known as the deltopectoral group of lymph node, deltopectoral nodes. So these are the lymph node which supplies the breast, that is axillary group of lymph node, internal mammillary lymph nodes, suprascapular node, posterior intercostal nodes, and cephalic or deltopectoral nodes. Okay, so for better understanding, first we'll draw a diagram and then we'll understand where these nodes are situated in the or around the breast. Here I am drawing a diagram of breast region. So you can see here, this is the thoracic part, and here we have a mammary gland or breast. This is the midline, and this is the nipple or areolar part. So we have discussed axillary group of lymph node. So basically we'll be talking about the axillary group of lymph node. So further, this axillary group of lymph node is subdivided into 5 categories. That is the apical. So here we have a clavicle. So this is the clavicle bone, and just below or lateral part of the clavicle, here the apical part of axillary group of lymph node is situated. Then the central group of axillary lymph node, central group. So central group basically present on just above to the anterior fold of the axilla. Then we have a lateral group. So lateral group situated on the lateral side of the axilla. Then posterior group of lymph node. So here we have a posterior group of lymph node and the anterior group of lymph nodes. So this is the anterior group of lymph node. So if we're talking about the axillary group of lymph node, so this apical, this apical group, then this central group, this lateral group, and this posterior group, and this anterior group. All this group is considered as a axillary group of lymph node, axillary group of lymph nodes. Okay, so these are the axillary group of lymph node. Basically this axillary group of lymph node which lying in axilla. Okay, then we have a internal mammillary nodes. This is the internal mammillary nodes. So we're talking about the internal mammillary nodes. So this node is lying along the internal thoracic vessels. So here we have a location of internal mammillary lymph nodes. So this is the internal mammillary nodes. Okay, now we have a suprascapular lymph node. So as the name indicates, suprascapular lymph node, that means it is lying above the clavicle. So here we have a location of suprascapular lymph nodes. So this is the suprascapular nodes. Okay, then we have a posterior intercostal nodes. So posterior intercostal node which lying in the posterior part of intercostal space. Okay, so here you can see this is the posterior part of intercostal space. So here we have a location of posterior intercostal lymph node. So this is the posterior intercostal nodes. Then the cephalic or deltopectoral group of lymph node. So as the name indicates, this cephalic or deltopectoral group of lymph node, which is situated in the deltopectoral group in between the pectoralis major muscles or deltoid muscles. So somewhat here we have a location of this cephalic or deltopectoral group of lymph node. So these are the lymph nodes which situated near the mammary gland or axilla. This is the axillary group of lymph node, that is the apical, central, lateral, posterior, anterior. So these five group of lymph node that is considered in the axillary group of lymph node. Then we have a internal mammary lymph nodes, posterior intercostal lymph node, apical lymph node, and suprascapular lymph nodes. So this is about the lymph nodes. Now we're going to discuss about the lymphatic draining in the breast. So for better understanding of lymphatic drainage of breast, we need to understand these location of these lymph nodes. Okay, so basically we're talking about the lymphatic drainage of breast. So this lymphatic drainage of breast is divided into two groups. One is that is superficial and deep. It is divided into superficial and deep. So if we're talking about the superficial group, so this superficial group lymphatic basically drain the skin of the breast except the nipple and the areola. So whole of the skin of the breast is supplied by this superficial lymphatics except the nipple and areola. And if we're talking about the deep lymphatic, it is drain the parenchyma of the breast and the skin of the nipple and the areola. Along with the plexus of lymph vessels deep to the areola is called the subareolar plexus. So here we have a subareolar plexus. Okay, now we'll understand how this group of lymph node which drain the breast. So before the better understanding of this lymphatic drainage of breast, we will divide this breast area into four quadrants: the upper medial, lower medial, the upper lateral, and the lower lateral. So if we're talking about the from the lateral quadrant, so the lymph from the lateral quadrant, these quadrants, the breast is drained into the anterior axillary or pectoral group of lymph nodes. So here we have already discussed this axillary group of lymph node is further divided into five categories: anterior, central, lateral, and posterior. So this lateral quadrant is drained by this anterior axillary. So this is the anterior axillary, and this pectoral, this is the pectoral. This pectoral group of lymph nodes. So these lymph nodes are situated deep to the lower border of pectoralis minor muscles. So these are the situated in the lower part of the pectoralis minor muscles. So this part situated the lower quadrant. So here we have it is drained by the lower quadrants. This lateral quadrants. So these are the lateral quadrants. So now if we're talking about the lymph from the medial quadrants, so these medial quadrants, so it is drained into the internal mammillary group of lymph nodes. So these are the internal mammillary group of lymph nodes. So this area is drained by this internal mammillary group of lymph nodes, which is situated along the internal mammillary artery. And some lymphatics may go the internal mammillary lymph nodes of the opposite side. So this it is also goes toward the opposite side. Then few lymph vessels from the lower lateral. So this lower lateral quadrants are of the breast is follow the posterior intercostal artery. So here these few are which drain by this posterior intercostal artery and drain into the posterior intercostal node, which is located along the course of these artery. So here exactly the location of the posterior intercostal node. Then from the few vessels from the lower medial quadrant here of the breast, which is pierce the anterior abdominal wall and which is communicate with this subdiaphragmatic and subperitoneal lymph plexus. So from here few vessels are which communicate with this subperitoneal or subdiaphragmatic group of lymph node, and the lymph vessels from the deep surface of the breast, which is pierce the pectoralis major muscles, clavipectoral fascia, and to drain into the apical group of lymph nodes. So this is the here we have an apical group of lymph nodes. So this is these group which is drained by this apical group of lymph nodes. Okay, one notable point we need to understand: about 75% of the lymph from the breast is drained by this axillary group of lymph node, and 20% which is drained by this internal mammillary nodes, and rest 5% which is drained by this posterior intercostal lymph nodes. So this is about the lymphatic drainage of breast. Thank you.